And thank you to my colleagues who all have made very good points and good arguments on why we should see this called up for a vote today. The Senate voted both sessions to advance this language. Last session, it was a vote of 43-6. This session, it's a vote of 42-7. So more than 80% of the Senate, bipartisan support, voted to advance this legislation. In the House, last session when we considered it, and this was before everybody was up for re-election, of course, the last time around, we had, as was stated, 139 yes votes. 139. So we had more than 2/3. We had veto-proof majority for that vote, which we don't need because the governor's not in play for a constitutional amendment. He gets to vote on it like every other citizen if it's put on the ballot. So we just need the House and the Senate to pass the same language, 2 consecutive sessions. 139 votes last time. 107 Republicans, 32 Democrats voted yes. As it left the House this year, we had 94 Republicans vote yes, 7 Democrats vote yes. We lost 7 Republicans this time around that were here last time. 7 of the Republicans that voted yes last session voted no this session on the way out the door to the Senate. So 7 Republicans changed their vote out of the members that were still here that voted the previous session. 14 Democrats changed their vote. Twice as many Democrats with a lower number of Democrats in the chamber, so a greater percentage of Democrat members changing their vote. Twice as many Democrats changed their vote and said no this time on the way out the door after having won re-election last time and having cast a vote for this, indicating to the people that they would be supportive of this measure. Now, what we have before us today, when you look at the members that are here, as was said, 117 members still here, but even with the members that voted as this left the chamber right now, if everybody votes yes, that voted yes to send this out, we had 101 yes votes earlier this year because we were missing a few members, so we needed 101. We had 101 members that voted yes, so we need to get to 102. So we have a Democratic member who wasn't here this time but was here last time. He voted yes. If he's here today, he votes yes. We've got the 102. We have some special elections that brought in a few new people. If one of those members casts a yes vote, we have the number needed to get this over the goal line today. Now, as you saw this sweep through the elections last year and this call to drain the swamp in D.C., we have our own little swamp here in Harrisburg. And I think as you talk to people, I think what they see as part of the swamp is a lack of integrity in people who are supposed to be serving their fellow citizens in a leadership capacity. Today is all about integrity. The Senate showed integrity by giving us back the legislation that we have now sitting in the House to be considered. As was mentioned, Representative Roy mentioned all of our leaders that are in support of this. They all have showed integrity in supporting this through the process. Sam Smith showed integrity in pushing this prior to his leaving for a number of sessions and trying to put the power of his office behind it, calling together a symposium, trying to educate. He showed integrity trying to move this forward. Right now, we have 2 hurdles. The first hurdle is this needs to be called up for a vote today. And I am calling on our leadership team to make this happen today. The people of Pennsylvania deserve the opportunity to see who has integrity in this body. If the leadership does not call this vote up today, it rests on them. They will be the ones responsible for not allowing this to be called before the voters in November. If our leadership fulfills their duty, and if they carry out their charges, their responsibilities of their office with integrity, then they will bring this vote before the full membership of the House today. I call on the Speaker to keep us on the floor today until this is called up. I call on the leader to call this vote up today, to schedule this vote, to bring this bill up before the membership today. There's a lot of backroom operations going on. There's been a lot of activity on the floor. There's been members that have been against this, whipping the vote, trying to whip and trying to change people's minds and get them to vote against it. We need our whip's office to exercise his duties with the integrity that I know he has and whip this vote into a vote that brings this to bear today for the voters of Pennsylvania. If our leadership brings this up for a vote and the individuals choose not to support this measure today that they have indicated last session and that they have indicated this session they support, and on this final hurdle they say no, then they will expose themselves for lacking the integrity that people are demanding of their public servants. So we are here today to call on our leadership to bring this up for a vote. Exercise their duties of office with integrity. We are calling on our colleagues who, looking at past roll calls, have said yes and who show us that we have the numbers here to pass this. We are calling on our colleagues to show integrity and allow the people of Pennsylvania to make this decision in November. This is going to expose those who don't allow this or those who don't vote for this as being the ones who people have a problem with in politics. We need a vote today, and we need our colleagues to step forward and exercise integrity and vote the way they've indicated from past votes that they will vote, and that's to allow the people of Pennsylvania, the citizens of Pennsylvania, to decide, as Representative Menser had stated, to decide how their form of government will be. Do they want 203 members or do they want 151? I think they'll vote 70+% to go to 151. And that's why some of my colleagues are now switching gears, because they fear they might be out of a job. Show some integrity, because unless you show integrity, you don't deserve the job. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, this was so important. Why did you sit on it for a year in committee?
We didn't sit on it for a year in committee. We've run this for 4 sessions in a row. There's a scheduling process to moving legislation and working with the prime sponsor, working with leadership to get a vote. So we just had to get it out by the end of session. It's been over in the Senate for quite some time. They just sent it back to us last week. So the bill has been worked on through 4 sessions, and we have worked hard on this bill when you prioritize legislation. So for anybody that works at the Capitol for any period of time, you understand that.
So in your mind, you're just down to 1 vote that you need?
We need 1 vote. If we get the leadership to put this up for a vote, then that will expose the members of this body for those who have integrity, those who don't, and those who have been consistent. There's some members that have voted against this in the past, both times, and they're showing consistency, and their constituents know that, and they have their reasons. But for those that indicated last time they were going to support this, and even now, and then behind the scenes, they're calling on leadership not to call this up for a vote, that shows a total lack of integrity, and it should never occur.
Some members, specifically some Democratic members, have brought up concerns that getting rid of 50 members but not having redistricting reform go along with it could lead to 50 members just kind of getting, it won't be random, they'll be picked, they'll be targeted by when you get rid of people in this. Do you share that concern, or do you understand that concern?
Well, I think the arguments that they're proffering that they need redistricting reform at the same time is a bogus argument. It wasn't moved last session at the same time when they supported it. Those that are saying that are switching gears now, it wasn't moved this time when they supported it leaving the chamber this year. So you just have to look at the voting histories. And those are 2 different questions that would be changed in 2 different constitutional amendments. And the people would get to decide in both of those different questions whether or not they want to change. It's not something that would happen. And the people might reject one and not the other if you did have both questions on the ballot at the same time. But certainly not questions that need to be run at the same time, nor are they. We just need to have these individuals stop making excuses and show some integrity.